Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you so much for hanging out and waiting for us to get everything up and running. You're only 7 minutes late today, which I think is not a record, but it's pretty close.
So, why can't we start on time?
I don't know. All I can say is my back went out this week, and I think I'm going to have to get off Propecia. Boom, boom. But I mean, honestly, this is the first time I felt this way in many years. My back kind of went its tweaked. And there are people in this world who would think that there's something happening to them because of their Propecia use if something went wrong in their body. Am I overstating that?
I'm sorry, what? I wasn't listening.
Oh,
what?
Okay. Phone number, guys, is 888-659-3727. We are live. This is our Friday edition of The Bald Truth. And it's great to be here. It's great to be hanging out with my friend and yours, the original hair transplant mentor. It's Mr. Joe Tillman, who's live in TBT Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, by the way.
Oh, you called me your friend.
Oh, shit, I did? Did I really? All right, we're not, guys who are listening, all the haters, we're not really friends. We just kind of work together.
We just tolerate each other.
Yeah, all of you
from 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, so all of you haters out there who think that we are somehow colluding in this field together, we are not. I barely speak to the dude, as you can tell when we do this show.
I tried to not speak to the guy. Are you kidding me? She's like, fuck, it's Friday. I got to deal with this jackass again.
That's how I feel. All right, so guys are in the chat room. The phone lines are open. We currently have no one on the line, and that makes it easier for me because that means if there's no one on the line, I can just turn off this microphone, turn off this camera, and finish my day drinking, which would be perfect, actually, if that's the case.
It would allow me to get back on the road to go find a tabletop. I'm rebuilding TBT Studios Vancouver.
Again?
Remodeling.
Dude, I've never seen so many remodels in a 3-month period.
Oh, this is gonna be choice, man. This is gonna be like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right. Just don't change that shirt. That's all I ask.
I haven't changed it in 2 months.
Hi, guys. Phone number 888-659-3727. I kind of think I may know who this is, so I'm going to take the call. Hey, you're on the line. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Of course you know who it is. Who do you think it fucking is?
What's up, Nico?
How you do, boys? How you doing?
All right. What's going on? I know you said last program that you had some surgical questions for us this week on Friday.
It's funny that mine works in mysterious ways. Possibly, but I'm going to have to go with the fin question first, since that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, and by the way,
did you say the mind works in mysterious ways?
Yeah, because I've mentioned getting off fin because I feel it's affecting my back, which is a joke, by the way, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead, Nico.
Okay, so how you guys doing? Okay.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, I know it's 5 o'clock on the East Coast, so cheers.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You guys are my dinner time, post-dinner time, or pre-dinner time, depends on the time, entertainment. So,
but if you're eating dinner at 5 o'clock at your age, then you got some thinking to do.
Well, I come back from work, I'm starving, man. Can't help it. Just like you might be thirsty for a beer.
No, listen, I get it.
Are you one of those high metabolism fuckers that like you're always skinny, no matter what you eat?
Well, now I gain weight, man. Like I gained probably 15 pounds in the last year. So actually the good news is I actually stopped drinking soda for the last 2 weeks, which I know you'd be proud of, Joe.
I am. Well done.
I would hope. I know you're big on diets, so. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
no,
I'm proud of it. I'm proud of you as well.
I can't detect sarcasm anymore, so it's hard to know. I really can't.
That's a withdrawal system from soda.
Yeah, I'm not a soda drinker, which I think.
Oh man, every day for the last 40 fucking years easily, or 40, 38 years.
Go on
so,
YouTube.
Yeah, no
go on
soda
YouTube and look at the videos about different sodas being solvents to clean, truck bumpers and shit.
Oh, I've seen that shit, man. It's out of control. It's funny. I went to Brazil one year and did like a detox yoga deal or whatever, vacation, and getting away from the city was such a change. It was like, oh, I'll never go back to soda and all that bullshit. You get in the mindset, and then you get back in routine. It's crazy.
Well, in New York, there's just so many places to stop and eat whatever you want, pizza and just junk food, and you're always having a soda. And deli, man. Like I did have deli the other day, actually last Sunday. I actually saw who ended up keeping his hair really well, because he was a early Norwood, I thought. The actor's name is James Woods, and he was sitting right next to us at this deli.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's basically maintained that Norwood 2-3 status, but with thick hair for his entire life. It's amazing.
Yep.
But the story is, I had a diet cream soda that day. So, I slip once in a while.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you had to go
and every time you slip, James Woods is there.
That's the fucking truth, actually.
It's weird. I saw a picture of James Woods, last couple of months, and I thought maybe he might have had a transplant. He had some sort of look about it, but I guess he might have maintained.
I was going to go up to him because I actually was he used to live upstairs. There was a pharmacy called Salem Pharmacy on 73rd Street and 2nd Avenue. And he lived in the building right above Salem Pharmacy. And as a kid, I worked in Salem Pharmacy on Saturdays, and I used to deliver to him. For some reason, he always paid in quarters. I don't know why. But I was going to say, hey, man, remember me? Probably not, because I'm 50 years old. But I used to be a delivery boy at Salem Pharmacy. It would have flipped him out, and it would have totally made him uncomfortable, so I chose not to do it.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Right. I tutor in that area.
I'm not going to tell you what I used to order all the time for me to bring up. Not that it's, illegal or anything, but,
right.
people would frown upon it today.
Oh, okay. Mystery. Okay, fair enough.
Might be cigarettes. I don't know.
Oh, might be. Right. Fair enough.
But we're talking about
black tar heroin. We don't know.
69 cents a pack back then, man. That's how long ago that shit was.
Yeah, no filter Luckies or Kings.
I can't. I don't want to divulge what he smoked.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So,
hey,
might be Pall Mall Gold. I don't know. Go ahead.
Pall Mall.
Yeah.
Hey, so maybe kind of an obvious answer, maybe not. I know that I guess on average, at least from what I understand, we lose about 110 hair, shed 110 to 150 a day.
Where'd you get the 110 number?
Yeah. Why not 100?
It's usually 100 to 150. That's the standard issued answer.
I was going on the lower end of the average, but whatever. That was just random with me.
Yeah, so 100.
Pick on me, why don't you?
100 to 150 is the standard answer that everyone gives you, and I have to say that,
well, fair enough.
What I tell people is this: if you're actually noticing a lot, like more hair loss than usual, and if you're able to count 150, you've lost more than that.
Okay. So I guess that leads to my question, which is I'm trying to figure out with fine, coarse hair, though it sort of plays itself out interestingly after a shower and volumizing shampoo or conditioner. I'm trying to figure out how do you know when you're stabilized on Propecia or finasteride, rather? How do you really know? I mean, if you're growing a little bit in the crown, but you're still shedding, how do you know when you're actually stable?
I'll let you answer because I haven't let him say shit yet, but I would say that you never really know if you're completely stable because it kind of ebbs and flows, and you go through sheds, but it's really about the long-term, yield of the drug. Are you seeing a average, for over the years, a cessation of your hair loss? Have you maintained the hair that you have?
Right.
So it's kind of hard, you're always a little bit on the edge. Like I'm still like, I look at my hair, I'm like, oh shit, it's getting a little worse in the back, but I would say that I've been pretty stable for a long time. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I would say after a lot of, really digging deep thought about this, I agree.
That's very deep.
You can't really quantify it. It's just, one day you'll notice, wow, my hair seems fuller or it seems like it's not getting worse. You'll count fewer hairs. Like, I've never been a hair counter, like people that actually look at their drain. I was at one point because, years ago when people were first talking about this and how many hairs do you lose and I'm counting this many in my hair drain and all this, I did for maybe a couple of days. But in general, it's when you notice that it's less hair. And when you stopping yourself to notice it, if that makes sense, right? When it becomes less of an actual reminder, because you are seeing hair everywhere, because you are seeing hair in your shoulder, in the sink, in the tub, wherever. That's when you know. Yeah,
I had labeled baggies when I was younger.
I remember you saying that.
Numbered
it's
hairs.
It's just like when you're having a hair transplant. When do you know that if you have a hair transplant into existing hair, when do you know that it's growing? Besides being able to feel the stubble, when do you know that it's doing anything? It's when you wake up one day and you're like, holy shit, my hair's fuller. Because that's the way it was for me after my second and third and onward. 7 to 9 months, it would, you get your initial growth spurt, but then between 7, 8, 10, 11 months, there's that one day when you wake up and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I notice this before? It's like, holy shit, look at all this hair in my head. It's like, it's so much fuller. And the improvements, or in the case of your question, the reduction of the negative, in other words, the fewer hairs being lost on a daily basis because of fewer hairs going into telogen, it's a gradual effect. So it creeps. And because it's cumulative over every day and it's so slow, you don't notice it until it gets to a certain point. And
dude, you lost me at hair.
That's it. So
all right,
there you go.
Nico, man, I hope that explained everything fully to you. But
I mean, pretty much.
I would say, look, we never really know, except I know that I would have been, if I didn't take this drug, I would have been a goner.
Oh, man.
That's it. I saw a relatively quick reversal of the miniaturization process. And then, I did go through some sheds, but it was, for me, it's just been a fucking blessing. I'm hanging out with a guy who's actually staying with me, a childhood friend, who's been on the drug for it's got to be 15 years now, 18 years, something like that.
Right.
And he still looks like he's got a full head of hair.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, so that I can let you guys go, I think that goes back to my bigger point about with my personal experiences. I made the mistake of getting off a benzo, having a hair transplant, and then starting Propecia. So that's why I'm all over the place with trying to figure out what my hair is going through.
What were you on again? Klonopin?
Oh, it was a Klonopin, right.
And how many milligrams?
0.5 for about 6 years.
Jesus, that's nothing, man. Get back on that shit. I'm just kidding.
So it's just hard to know with my hair what's going on with it and the shedding and starting Propecia after telogen.
But who stops their anti-anxiety medication before they have a fucking cosmetic surgery?
Tell me about it. I'm a fucking idiot I am. And then starting Propecia.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like the case that I am. But all right.
All right, man.
Listen. Sound pretty dumb.
Listen, you sound like you're getting things. You sound like you're getting it together, and you're feeling a little bit better. And
yeah, for sure.
Anyway, line's always open.
What would I do without you guys? I appreciate it, guys.
All right,
man. Enjoy, and I'll listen to the rest of the show for sure.
Okay.
I'll hit that like, baby.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Well said.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Take care.
888-659-3727 is toll free. I put up the UK number because I saw someone in Joe's chat asking about or wanting to call in from the UK.
More proof that you read the chats.
Yes. So the number is, that's true. It's 0203-3724-683. We do have lines open, so feel free to call in. Our toll free here in the U.S. is 888-659-3727. Let me put that number back on the screen. So, we'll stick around until calls stop, and currently we have none. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. If you want to call in, great. Otherwise, we are leaving because that's why we do the call-in show. So we got some content from Nico, which we will cut up and use, which is perfect. And then we'll, okay, the phones are lighting up. That's good.
Okay.
Glad you guys are interested. 888-659. I just spit all over the mic. 659-3727 is the toll-free number. Give us a call if you have any questions or concerns about your hair loss. This is your safe place. I hate saying that now, but I've been saying that for 20 years. Now everyone's talking about safe spaces, and that makes me uncomfortable. Hey, you're on the air.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable, too.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Mo. I mean, I'm about to get on you guys again. Safe place? I mean, what the hell's wrong? What is this, an orgy going on? Like, what's wrong with you guys?
Dude, Mo, you got to fucking get with the program, man. I've been saying that shit forever.
Code me.
I've been saying that before it became politically correct to have safe spaces. That's why it disturbs
I'm just saying, this is turning from DHT over testosterone to a lot of estrogen. Is that how we're blocking DHT now with all this estrogen going around? Is that what we're doing now?
I'm going to let Joe take that hit because I cannot believe you'd be speaking to me in that manner.
I'm talking to Joe, not you, Spence.
Okay.
I mean, look at that. Look at that.
You talking to me?
Going on.
Yeah.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah,
you talking to me?
So Mo, what?
Got a goatee.
Click.
So Mo, what's happening, man? What's going on? Have you made any more decisions, or are you getting closer to? I know that you're reconsidering everything now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was actually in that reconsidering phase before. I had a few questions, so I was on the Mentor website. That estrogen-filled guy on your left, or on your right, technically on my left.
I'll ban your IP.
Yeah,
You can't go back to it.
No, but I was looking into more. So Hattigan Clinic, I was really looking into. And I actually had a consult with Dr. Sever today. I mean, quite a gentleman, but not just a gentleman. He's really honest. Really, he came off as really. As corny as it sounds, I don't have the words to kind of say it. Non-transplant like, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. That's well said. That's well said.
So you mean he seemed like a real doctor?
Yeah.
He seemed like a real doctor, and Spence, I mean, even at a real doctor, they'll kind of look at you, they'll kind of, write you a prescription. But literally, the first thing he said to me, have you tried shaving your head?
Yeah.
And I was really taken aback. And it, it wasn't like a bullshit kind of, sometimes they say that for a minute and then just go on into it. He really was like, look, is this something you really want to go through? How do you feel?
I forgot who you're speaking about again?
Dr. Sever Mersana. How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Mersanu. Just Mersanu.
Mersanu, yes. And it really kind of, it reminded me of the time we spoke, and I told you about my experience about the psychological equation you were talking about.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me. That really stuck with me because I really dialed back, and, I really, my psychological equation from the start was just really, really good. And he kind of got to know me a little more, I would say psychologically, kind of trying to see what headspace I'm at, what I do in my career. Kind of, he really started, talk to me like a regular human being.
Like a human being.
Did it? Yeah, exactly. Didn't talk to me like he is some hotshot, car salesman, or, who thinks he's a, salesman. But we had a really long consult, and we, I was kind of, I was also looking at other clinics, Dr. Rahal. I had, a thing with them. And another thing is I noticed, so it's funny, the last time we spoke, I told you about I was considering having another at least consultation with the previous clinic that will remain unnamed. And I asked to have a Skype consultation. Totally not, totally like, oh, this doctor doesn't do Skype consultations. It's like it was beneath him. That's what it came off as of. And, before you talk about pay, because Spence, remember I was on your ass last time because you talk about, paying for this shit. This wasn't even, I would have even done that in all seriousness, but it's just like, oh, no, he doesn't do that. He just kind of sees you. And my whole thing was, by all means, as a consumer, I know I was half kidding at that time saying, hey, Spence, just wait till I get my transplant.
Right.
But in all seriousness, all of this could have been avoided had I was able to speak to doctors at the first time. And, even like, because I haven't met you. I've been doing my research for 2 years, And, you know, I'm speaking to a consultant who you believe is very good at their job, right? Because they've been in the industry for a long time. They can at least tell your physiology, your density, your laxity. And, you know, and this could have all been avoided, but it's just, they just kind of threw it off as if, no, you know, he doesn't do that. And that was another thing where
I think it's a shame, actually.
It is a shame. And it just, and I thought even with my situation that they'd actually want to even possibly make an exception. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't begging for it. You know, I just thought that, you know, I'd like to speak to the doctor before I make any decisions.
Well, it's possible they don't want to waste any more time with you. And that's even more sad and disturbing.
So are you talking about you're trying to have a Skype consult before you actually got there, or is this for round 2 where you're trying to maybe reconsider them?
Well, you know, this was a red flag, both, because the first time when I was doing my research, I actually tried getting a Skype consult. Oh, they said, oh, no, if you did it in person, it's fine. You know, it's kind of, you know, I brushed it aside because, I mean, they are a reputable clinic who've done outstanding surgery, and I'm not taking that away from them. So, I mean, I guess I kind of let that kind of ease the anxiety a bit. But I've actually tried even before that. But this is what I'm talking about is after the second, you know, situation that we had. You know, I thought at that point they'd actually would do it. But, I mean, Spence, you're very much right. But, I mean, this was just a overall different experience. I mean, even my other, you know, consultations I've had, you know, because, I mean, I took your guys' advice. I've been taking more and more, you know, consultations, even from doctors I know I'm not going to, just to kind of get a different perspective to see where the common line is for everything.
See, and that's actually
that's the way you should do it.
You made a couple of really great points that I think the doctors who are listening should be aware of. One, this particular clinic really fucked up. And, you know, Mo's psychological equation, which is what I talk about all the time, and I actually gave a talk on it at one of these conferences, it was tainted from day one with these guys. And now he's talking about what a positive experience he had with a doctor who treated him like a human being. And the second point is something I already forgot, but when it comes back to me, I will, I'll make that point. Go ahead.
But you know, even Dr. Rahal's, I had a consultation with him. It was another patient advisor. Granted, I mean, I didn't ask to speak with the doctor this time. Eventually, you know, I probably will, and I'll probably let you know how that goes if I am able to speak with them. But there's one thing I'd like, which was really impressive, as compared to the other one. I mean, the initial clinic I was supposed to have surgery with, is that the doctor got to meet with you a day before surgery. So you guys are on the same page. You guys are, you know, coming in before surgery. You talk about what you want, what they can talk about, whatever. Now, whether I go to them, that's a whole other. But I really also, that was also a really positive psychological equation that, okay, even the day before I'm cut open, I have an opportunity to actually meet the guy that's going to cut me. It's not like a slaughterhouse where I'm going,
let me stop there just a second. I will say that at the other clinic that you initially had your experience with, that is standard procedure is if conditions allow, because sometimes patients don't even get in till late in the afternoon after everything's shutting down, and like, I don't know what time you got in, but it should have been set up or at least offered if you're getting in town on time. That's what they normally do. I will say that about them, or at least that's the way it was when I was there, where it's like the pre-op for tomorrow, and that's how they would refer to it, is coming in at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever. So I just want to make sure that is established, where if you didn't have that, then that was unusual, and I don't know why, but
I didn't have that. I was there quite a few days before, you know, my procedure. I mean, I said I might as well just hang out in the city and check it out. Just to see. That's why I brought my family. I was there.
Were you were there on a weekend, or like what day did you go in for your procedure?
I was there on a weekend, but I wasn't even offered the option of having that. Like,
well, there is no option on Saturday and Sunday. But like, if you got there like on a Thursday, and they knew it, then they'd say, okay, well, try to come in on Thursday afternoon or Friday. I'm just saying that, you know, that's always the case, but I guarantee you that any clinic that has a Monday surgery and that patient is flying in from out of town, the doctor's not going to come and see you on a Sunday.
Well, that's definitely fair. And, you know, in all seriousness, I was I had the choice of a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as you very well know. I think that's when they do the larger sessions. Right. You know, I asked them specifically, I'm like, is there any preference? Is there something that I can that you guys prefer? You know, they said, you know, just pick a day. Because I wasn't even given the option at it's something, if I knew, I would have chosen a Tuesday. But like, this was the day of a consultation. You know, I'm just told up front that he'd like to meet with you before then. And obviously it's not as powerful as getting to meet with the surgeon, but that's what really stuck to me about having in clinic, is that, you know, again, I'm not saying I'm going with them. I haven't made my decision at all. I'm just sharing my experience. I just, you know, and we had a good hour and a half long consultation, you know, really talking about concerns.
Look, let me interrupt for a second, Mo. You know, the fact, sure. And Joe said something interesting. There's not a doctor that would see you, you know, is going to see you for a consult on Sunday, which I find to be sad, especially in a situation when someone is flying in to have surgery and spend $25,000 with somebody. And to me, it's like, if I'm not socially committed, you know, that day, that I would take the time to drive to my fucking office and see somebody who's about to drop 25 G's for a day's work. That's how I feel. I don't know. I mean, that's how I roll.
I mean, I'm really a pragmatist, Spence. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Listen, I'm a real pragmatist. I like to think that I like to give 110% of my job also. I mean, when I'm with my family, I like to be with my family. But I will say that the nature of this job is so, you know, when you touch somebody, you're their patient, right? So I get what you're saying, but I mean, I'm not going to blame them for that. You know, I'll give them that. I mean, there's no reason why I see that, but my experience, I mean, the first half hour was like, you know, not maybe even more. Do you even want surgery? You know, because would you care? Are you sure you want to have this?
This guy's a smart guy. He's treating you like a human being, but he's also sussing you out. He wants to see for himself if, in fact, you make a good psychological candidate for surgery. Yeah. And it's very powerful, and I think it's empowering to both the physician and the consumer or the patient when someone takes the time to really get a lot of information about the person they're about to cut open.
I'll say two things. First, I want to just, before I forget, I wrote it down, but this is going to be
I'm forgetting a lot lately with my day drinking, man.
That I'm going to touch on in a future video, but I want to say it now. It's little things that are actually big things. And this situation with your Monday surgery, and what Spencer's saying about driving in on a Sunday, that ain't going to happen. So, if you are going to a clinic that is so far away you got to hop on a damn plane, never ever book surgery on a Monday. Because if you haven't met that doctor, they're not going to come in on a Sunday to meet you. So, Tuesday through Friday, game on. Arrive the day before in time to meet your doctor. There you go.
Yeah.
And also another thing that I always say, and this is just my own shit, but I would never have surgery of any kind on a Monday. I would pick a Tuesday or a Wednesday. That's it.
Why is that?
Because what do you think people do on the weekend? They get fucked up. That's the national pastime in just about every country.
Getting fucked up.
Getting fucked up. It's not baseball.
Should be an Olympic sport.
Yeah, it's not baseball here in the U.S. It's getting fucked up. That's what people do.
Very true, Joe, by the way. Should be a national sport. I agree with that.
You know, but the second thing, the second thing I wanted to say was that Dr. Merceneau, Dr. Sever, as I call him, he was fleshing you out. He was, I mean, that's the way this guy rolls, and I mean, he's the real deal. I first learned, you read about it in his profile on my website. I first learned about this guy in 2005, 2006, when some new clinic I'd never heard of was, you know, putting out 6,000 graft in one session strip results. And at the time, no one else was even coming close to where I was working at the time. And it was like, holy shit, now, oh great, now Europeans don't have to come to Vancouver. I was genuinely concerned. And and I eventually met him like 5 years ago, and he's a phenomenal guy. Very passionate about what he does, completely into it. Like, he is so into doing the right thing, and that's why you had an hour and a half consultation as your first visit. So he's making sure that you're you're of sound mind, not just your physical characteristics are in line too.
And the reality is, it's beyond doing the right thing. It is doing the right thing, I think, for the patient is really important, but it's the smart thing for any physician to do. Those who are not taking time to take the time during consults and are just trying to rack up surgeries, you're idiots, man. You're the guys who get bitch slapped online. You're the guys who deal with all of the back end problems of unhappy patients. If you create the right psychological equation, even if things go wrong, the patient probably won't even blame you.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
I mean,
that's right.
That's exactly what one of the last things I asked them, and I said, look, I know every clinic has, not so happy patients. And I asked him like the ratio. Because he was frank with me. I was frank with him, and I appreciated that he was frank with me and said, look, this is what's, just told me as it is. And, he was really, he stood behind his work too. That was another thing that's kind of really rare. I won't say of the clinic I had a bad experience with, because I do think they generally really do stand, from the things I've heard and firsthand accounts, that even if things don't go pleasant, I think that is one thing I could say that I know of, is that they do stand behind their work. But other huge clinics, a lot of them don't, because it's just an ego thing where they don't want to accept that they could have a bad result. But the guy's like, look, I definitely, fix this if so-and-so is wrong. But it was just a night and day experience, and just made me feel really, really comfortable. And I actually had a question. Now, Spence, I know he's an IAHRS associate member. Now, I know these are not full exclusive members yet. I know it's because, they haven't done as much surgery, or they're now, can I ask exactly in terms of his case, if you know, or if you feel comfortable sharing it, why he's not an exclusive member and associate member at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Because now we, in general, especially if someone is out of the country, we are putting them into the associate membership category for at least a year, and then they could apply for full membership after 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it. I have access to a lot more data from, I would say, American applicants, and it's a lot easier for us to suss things out. We brought him on board as an associate. It's kind of like it's the truth. It's almost like a probationary situation, but this guy has a great reputation, and he's already been proving himself these last few months since he's been part of what we do. And there are 0 complaints that we've received yet. So, he's good. He's good. But I just don't feel comfortable at this stage in the way that the industry is devolving to just, even if Joe gives him the thumbs up, just to take people on as full members at this point until I'm sure.
No, that's a very fair way to do it. And, another thing if you guys want to know, I asked him how many surgeries he does a day, because, again, last time I came up, I felt like I was, in the slaughterhouse, because there's all these people kind of lining up. I literally, Spence, because, that's exactly how I felt. Because, before this whole FUE price thing, and real quick, before I forget, tested my scalp mobility by both clinics, said, FUT, your scalp really doesn't look that tight. They can definitely get 4,500 grafts without a problem.
Yeah. Which is
maybe
good, which is good news.
Yeah.
Which is great news.
Yeah.
My only thing is that again, I have great respect for this clinic. I really do. But it's just, why am I being told one thing here and then something totally different in another place?
I think at this point you should just kind of say, okay, been there, done that, and just move on. It's like wondering. In other words, anything that you were told by this clinic as far as your candidacy, your characteristics, your ability to get X, Y, Z, just forget about it. Just flush it down the toilet, because at this point, all it's going to do is confuse you, because you obviously did not get, we'll say, how can I put this, reliable information.
I'm confused just listening to your story.
That's consistent, because you were told, no, we can't do this. We're going to do this instead. And then they said, maybe we can do this. It's like, no, you don't flip-flop like that. So all it's doing is
first, let me put it this way. Just so everyone's clear, they said first, maybe not the physician, but the clinic generally as a whole said, we can do this for 2 years.
Salespeople.
Then they said no, and then they said yes, maybe in between.
It doesn't matter who said it. It was said by the clinic. So it confused you. It muddied the waters beyond belief. So pour that glass out and throw the glass in the garbage, man. Move on and get fresh analyses from multiple clinics that are reputable. Like you did a great job going to checking out Dr. Sever, and then check out some others that have really solid reputations. Because the one you went to it's like they're not the only clinic with a solid reputation. They're not the best clinic in the world because there's no such thing. The best clinic is the best clinic that's for you. May not be the best clinic for the next guy or the guy next to you, but that's the thing. Just wipe that one off the slate and start fresh. You're doing a good job, and I think you should continue on that path. Get a few more solid consultations from solid, reputable clinics, and average it out. Figure out what's good for you.
And I tell you what, Mo, you got balls, and I appreciate the fact that you were willing to take your family to another country and then just say, fuck it, I can't do this. This is not right. So I admire that.
If anything, I mean, in all seriousness, I knew this is something, first of all, I knew this is something that's going to affect me for the rest of my life, good or bad. And, you have to, and, again, chances are I probably would have had a great result. I don't doubt that, but I just have to, you have to read the writing on the wall. And if the writing on the wall with everything, with me seeing scalps being cut open and, FUT versus FUE, and then you have to stay an extra day, it just, at the time wasn't. And I have flushed it out. And, it's just comparing and contrasting from my experience. And so last thing before I hang up, because I do want you guys to take other calls. So I asked them how many, Spence, shut up.
Thank you, Mo. You know what I can do? I could just hang this fucking phone up. I would never do that.
Is that a good psychological equation?
It is not. It is not.
Okay.
Well, how can we cut Mo out of this situation?
But, I asked, he now does big sessions in 2 days now. He told me, he's like, I have a family, so I like to, me and my wife, we do like to, spend a little more time with our kids. But it also allows me to focus more instead of trying to do one huge session in one day. So if it's a 4,500, 5,000, even plus graft session, they like to break it apart because he also likes to be in the trenches during the placement as well. Because I asked him too. I said, "How do you guys, how much are you involved in the surgery? How much is his technicians involved in?" And I was also, I was pleased because I would like to have a physician that would like to take their time, even if it's in the span of a few days, rather than just one whole day of me just flushing it out for the day. All right, next, again, like a slaughterhouse, and I like that as well. But listen, guys, I thank you so much for your help. I'm going to keep you guys posted.
All right, Mo.
As always, I'm going to keep listening.
It's always a pleasure, man. Thanks a lot, and good luck, man. Keep us posted.
We'll talk to you guys. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for calling, Mo. Take care.
All right, take care.
Bye.
It's a good guy. 888-659-3727, and he has fucking balls. I love that. I love that he actually listened to us.
It's not just that he has balls. He's fucking brilliant.
He's fucking brilliant.
Because he listened to us.
That's true. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hello.
Hello. Hi, it's Wayne from UK.
Hey, Wayne. What's happening?
Hello,
man?
Wayne.
Oh, yeah, not too bad. So I stumbled across your YouTube channel purely by luck about 2 weeks ago.
All right.
Yeah, so just to kind of...
you are lucky, my man.
I am. I do feel lucky. And, just as luck would have it, I was scrolling through my subscriptions today, and it come on that you did the sort of phoning at this time. So I just thought, right, I'll give you a call, share my story, and then hopefully get some advice.
So go ahead. What's your story, man?
Yeah, so my story. I'm 40 years old. I had a hair transplant. I was kind of sold the dream about 5 years ago. I started to sort of recede and stuff at the front and go a little bit thin. I had about 5,000 grafts thereabouts sort of put in the front of my hair. Did you travel to another country to have that done? No, I actually I did a lot of research locally. I live in Manchester, in the UK. There's a lot of sort of clinics and stuff around there. So I did a lot of research, had quite a few consultations, and I went with I went with a surgeon that had really sort of good reputation, and it went okay. I was put on the finasteride, on the tablets on 1 milligram.
Wayne, forgive me. I want to interrupt you for just a moment. Please forgive me.
Yeah, sure.
Manchester, 2013, 2014. Really good reputation doctor, and you got 5,000 grafts in one shot. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Please tell me who this clinic is, because I've never heard of a clinic in Manchester 5 years ago doing 5,000 grafts at once.
Offhand, I'd have to. I don't know the name of the doctor. Believe it or not, I can't remember. But it was a guy. He actually did a few sort of famous people, sort of like footballers and things like that. And he had a really good reputation on.
Was this a strip procedure or FUE?
It was a strip procedure, and it took, I think it was about 7 hours. So, obviously I'm left with a scar at the back of my head and stuff now, which is kind of like my next point. Because at this moment in time, just sort of jumping forward, and this is why I've got a bit of a grey area about if I'm not even sure if you guys can kind of offer advice on this, but I suffered massive side effects on the sort of tablets I was on. So I came off them, obviously started to shed hair like crazy. Hair just fell out a lot.
How long were you on finasteride before you started to notice side effects?
I was on them in total. I was on them for about 18 months, but I started to have like really bad side effects after a good, after sort of like a month, 2 months, 3 months. Obviously all the sort of sexual side effects and that sort of stuff really, really impacted my relationship.
Sure. That's interesting though, because usually, but I have heard of cases like yours. Usually, side effects occur pretty quickly into taking the medication.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of people, they'll try it, it doesn't work out for them, and they're able to get it off of it quick enough where it doesn't really affect their hair.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. The pictures that I've got from, I'd probably say 9 months of being on the tablets after, post-op of having the transplant, my hair looks fantastic. It did look really good, really thick. But inside, obviously, it was causing me sort of major problems, obviously depression and everything else was sort of coming with it. But, I did try and sort of tough it out. I thought this is just part of what you need to do. But in the end, I had to stop the medication. So I just sort of stopped it, and due to that, massive sort of loss. And
how do you feel physically? Forget about the hair right now. How do you feel physically now? Do you feel like everything's back in place?
Not as it was. It's kind of. It must be. I'd say about a year after. I've had about a year break, and I still kind of feel that there are sort of. That there are sort of issues. Hence the reason why I kind of took the plunge and thought, well. I've got two choices. I can either have another hair transplant, which you're looking at. It wasn't £5,000 or £10,000 or maybe go down the other route. I started to think, well, just shave it off, and I kind of fell into another area of sort of hair restoration, which was the SMP side. So initially, I thought, well, I shaved my hair off, I took it down, buzz cutted it. And obviously I've got this huge scar on the back of my head. And I started sort of researching, SMP clinics. And I don't know if you've got any experience around SMP clinics, but when you do a lot of Googling, you go on a lot of forums, there's a lot of pictures which will show a hair transplant scar. Obviously you've got the strip scar. And mine is it's large, it goes right around my head, but it's quite uniform. It does look nice and straight. So I thought, this would be a perfect candidate to have the SMP.
Well, let me go ahead and interrupt you there. But I want to address the SMP thing. But before I do, and forgive me for backtracking on this, but I'm kind of
no, it's okay.
I'm kind of hung on this 5,000 graft deal that you just told us about.
Yeah.
One of the chat members, FSK, he had a great question. This is something that it's not many people know to ask this. Was this a 1 day or 2 day strip surgery?
1 day. I went in the morning, about 7 in the morning, and then I was literally there till about 5 in the sort of afternoon. It was an all day thing.
Okay, so it was more like a 10-hour procedure. Okay, so
yeah, it was.
So would you say it's fair to say that maybe it was 5,000 hairs instead of 5,000 grafts? Maybe that's what they told you?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I apologise for the sort of lack of detail, but
No,
I can't remember.
that's fine. It's fine. It's just when I hear that, it's like I know the clinics that can do such size procedures, and I wasn't aware of one in Manchester. So it's just a little. I just wanted to kind of maybe drill down on that a little bit. But I want to talk about this S&P thing, and I can tell you about S&P because I was around when S&P for the scalp became like I was there for the explosion of interest in the hair restoration world. So you got two kinds of S&P. You got the temporary, which lasts for potentially up to a couple of years, and then you got the permanent. There is no in between. So if you find a clinic that says, "Oh, it'll last 5 to 7 years," ask them this one important question that will determine whether or not you should choose them or not. How long have you been open? How long have you been doing this procedure? So if they've only been doing it for 4 years, how can they say that it lasts for 5 to 7 years? They don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
okay.
What I did was I actually found a company called Scalp UK, and I kind of feel in a way I was kind of, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I'll just say it as it is. I kind of feel that I was kind of missold what they could have done with the scar, and because I've actually had it, I've had the treatment already.
You had it, okay.
And it was,
all right.
I've had it, yeah, and it was a complete disaster on the scar. The rest of it was fine. The rest of it looks good, and I'm quite pleased with it. But the work that's been done on the scar, I mean, I was told that I would probably get maybe 50-60% coverage. And when you do look at pictures, obviously on the internet, you go on forums and stuff, you see these cover-up jobs that they do, and they do look really good. So I thought, well, if I can get half of that, I'll be happy. So I went in, and I've had 3 sessions, and the back of my head now just looks terrible.
So the problem with scar tissue, and I need to gather myself a bit because this really irritates me.
Do you need
the
my
problem
help?
with
Do you need
scar
my help
tissue,
or something,
Wayne,
Joe?
is that when you're performing S&P and injecting pigment into scar tissue, it is not the same as skin tissue. Okay, so any I'll say I don't know, ethical S&P practitioner will tell you that when we're going to do your scar, we're just going to do a test patch. We're going to do maybe a little square centimeter, just a little short area, and we're going to do some dots, okay? And you're going to come back in a month, and we're going to evaluate. We're going to look at those dots and see what happened. And what's going to happen when you come back in a month is one of a few things. They're either going to disappear because the tissue just absorbed it, because it's a different makeup, it's a different lattice work of connective tissue than skin, or the tissue or the dots are going to expand. They're going to grow to where if they're too close, it's going to become a confluence of color. It's going to be like a sheet of blue or green, or the dots may stay where they are, but they might actually turn color regardless. So those are the 3 bad things that can happen. The good thing is that it could take the pigment and not change in any way after a month, and that's usually a good indicator for the medium to long term on how it's going to behave. But scar tissue is dynamic. It's not like once it's done. It changes a bit more than regular skin tissue in that regard. So you don't know until you actually test it. And I can only assume that they just kind of went full bore. They did top of your scalp, sides, whatever, and did the scar at the same time without doing some sort of test. Is that an accurate guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was about 6 months ago. I did go for the patch test, but it was very light. It was a small, tiny little part of the scar, and as you just said, the pigment faded after the first month. And when I went, because I've had 3 sessions of the SMP, when I went for the first session, he did what he would call a very light touch on the scar, and the pigment faded quite a lot. So I went back for the second session. It did go a little bit heavier, but on the 3rd session that I had about a month ago, it did go what I would consider too dark, and it does look, it basically looks like I've had bits of my head almost sort of, not the top of it. The top of it looks fantastic, but the scar part, it just looks like the colours have just, it just, like kind of like maybe shaded in with a marker almost, So now I'm at a point I'm thinking, yeah. So I mean, the whole reason for kind of ringing you guys is kind of just to kind of, I'm at a point I'm thinking, well, what do I do now? I've got 2 packs of finasteride in my medicine cabinet. Do I go back on them, try and grow my hair, which obviously I'm going to get hit with a load of side effects, or do I go down the laser route and try S&P again, which I've been advised by the company that may work, but then I'm thinking, do they just want more money from me? So it's just, I'm living under a hat.
Here's something else to consider. Okay, you've already gone down the S&P route. You've already committed to the shaved head look, which is fine. Good for you. If you like the way you look that way, then more power to you. Fantastic. But you're dealing with the scar tissue, which is it's a dynamic issue right now because of the way that the scar tissue is taking the pigment, and it's going to change more. It's going to fade some more over time. It may continue. It may spread out a bit more. I think that the laser might be a good option. I mean, you need to do something, right? But at the same time, there's also the option of maybe finding a really high quality clinic that can surgically remove that scar to where a new scar will form, hopefully smaller than what you've got. Because a lot of times a wide donor scar, if it's, I believe he said it was a wide scar, is due to, it's due to 2 things. It's patient physiology and or the skill of the doctor. So usually the skill of the doctor will trump the physiology, because the doctor will be able to tell before you even have the procedure if you're a good candidate for that. But it's not a guarantee. Just make sure you understand that. It's not a guarantee, but you got a pretty good chance, depending on who you choose and what your current situation is, of having at least an improvement on the scar, so that once it's completely healed, you can maybe, instead of trying S&P, maybe try beard hair into that scar.
Right.
Like 200 or 300 beard graft extractions, because nothing trumps real hair. Real hair is real hair. And you find someone that's got a track record of doing that. There's one clinic in the UK I know of that does do this. There's a couple I know of in Brussels. There's several worldwide that do this, where you might have a better outcome putting actual real hair into that donor scar, even if you don't have a scar revision. Even if you don't have it cut out a second time, have that S&P lasered out, and then go see a physician that's specialized in this and say, what do you think about body hair into my scar, or beard hair or something? That sounds like a good. It sounds like a good option. I like that. I think that's a better long-term option for you, because look, I believe in S&P for the right candidate, but I'm not a big supporter of S&P in general, because right now, most, like if you go doing your search for S&P, most of the places you'll find are hack shops. They're useless, and it's a minefield. It's as bad as it is with the surgical side of things, if not worse. So I'm sorry you got that issue. I'm glad that the top worked out. I'm glad you're happy with that. It's awesome that you're happy with the look in general. I know what it's like to deal with donor scars. That can be problematic, cosmetically. So take your time with this. Try not to rush into it, and look at your options.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, man. Listen, I'm glad you were able to find us, and I'm sorry that you've been through such an ordeal. But I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you start making, maybe some, the right calculations and some, different decisions now. You can definitely move forward, and I think that you can probably be okay. But yeah, you've been through a lot, my man. But there are guys there are guys out there who are living with irreparable damage, and you probably won't be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to obviously start the path, which path I'm going to go down, because at the moment, I mean, being as honest as I can, it's affected my sort of professional life, because of the industry I work in. I can't live under a baseball cap. So at the moment, it's like, I've had a lot of work coming in, and I don't want to go and do the work. because I thought that the SMP would sort of really camouflage the scar, so then I could just, continue on with my life. But at the moment, it's kind of just come to a stop. I like the idea that you said about maybe having the revision surgery and maybe go down that route. At least it's some sort of hope,
Well, there is hope, and I understand. It's sad when I listen to your story, and I really think it's important that physicians who are listening really take note of this, and also those who are offering SMP take note of this, because you said something very important. This has affected your life to the point, not just your interpersonal relationships, which is huge, but it's affecting your professional life, your performance in this world, and your ability to earn a living. That's how
massively.
Yeah, and this is what hair loss does, and this is what bad surgery does, and this is what bad SMP does. So I'm sorry that you're dealing with it, but yours is a cautionary tale, I think.
Yeah. Is there any way that you could potentially pass me on the details of the, I know you said you had a contact in the UK, for the revision surgery. Is that not something that you do, sort of passing details on of clinics and stuff?
Well, you can go to iahrs.org. Great place to start. There's, I forget how many doctors are there, but there's several listed, and then you can also go to, or more than several, but you can go to my website, hairtransplantmentor.com. I've got one doctor in the UK I work with. Highly recommend him. I got one in Brussels and a few in Europe in general. So both places are awesome places to start, and then just tread slowly, tread carefully, and if you've got more questions, give us a call, and we'll try to guide you through it.
Yeah, and we're talking about real hair transplant surgeons, guys who actually specialize in, a lot of these guys specialize in repair as well, and they do a lot of it. So, but you have to be very specific when you speak to these guys. You have to ask them specific questions about how often do you perform this type of surgery? What's your success rate of this type of surgery? Can I meet and speak with patients who've had this type of repair surgery using beard hair?
I think that's the thing I'm kind of worried about at the moment. I mean, I have read about the revision surgery and then the surgery you can have with the hair into the scar, but I think because my confidence has been blown apart with hair transplant sort of in general, obviously with the SMP and then sort of losing my hair and stuff, I haven't got a lot of confidence in it. I think, well, I don't want to go and pick somebody that makes it worse.
That makes sense, and that can happen. Valid. That's valid, and that can happen. So you have to really tread lightly and just be careful with every decision that you make. But I think in general, if you are able to deal with, and call back, because we're going to take your call in a second. I know you've been holding on for a while. If you're able to deal with a shaved appearance, and you're able to get yourself to the point where you feel comfortable enough, whether it's, listen, I see people, believe it or not, walking around with their hair transplant scar, and people don't even know what it is really, and they do shave their head, and they're able to live their life, and they look. I mean, look at Joe Rogan, for instance. If you see the back of his head, he's got a scar.
Yeah.
I've seen him in person. I've been standing behind him, in Calabasas or in the airport or whatever, and of course I'm checking out a scar, but I'm like, this guy, he owns it, So if
no one gives him a second glance because of it either.
Yeah. So if that's a possibility, consider it.
I'll keep you updated. I think I will maybe look at some sort of revision surgery, and whatever I do, I'll definitely ring back and sort of update you on my story.
Yeah, before you make a decision, you should call us too, because you don't want to jump into anything all over again. You want to take this slow. I know you want to be fixed, and your life is being affected really adversely at this point, but you want to just make sure that you are doing your due diligence, and that this time the decisions that you make are going to get you closer to where you want to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because you kind of feel that you're making an emotional decision rather than a logical decision, because I'm so disappointed with the result from the SMP into the scar.
Yes.
So now I'm living under a hat now, like 10 times more than I ever was before.
It's tough, because you gotta try to separate yourself from the emotion and stay logical, stick with the common sense, and not let the emotions creep in too much to influence your decisions, man. I get it.
And it's also how you survive this industry when you're working in it. So,
yeah, well said. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Listen, best of luck.
Cheers,
I
guys.
hope that we were able to help, and let us know what happens. All right.
Thanks for calling, Wayne.
All right,
Yeah,
take
thanks
care.
for taking the call. Cheers, guys.
You
Bye-bye.
got it.
Bye.
Cheers.
Yep. Take care.
Hi, guys. Phone number 888-659-3727. We had people holding on, and I know that was a long call, but it was an important call. And as you could tell, we're dealing with a person who's pretty vulnerable at this point, who's been through a lot of shit, and I really thought it was important that Joe take the time and we take the time to really kind of help guide him in the safest direction.
I tell you though, it's like that one hit me because I've seen those fucked up SMP scars where people just carpet bomb the tissue with pigment, and I'm tired of hearing it, man. It's like I see it and it's like, God, I really feel bad for the guy.
I was sent a picture from a guy who has a practice here in the, let's just say, the LA area, actually Newport Beach area, and it was just a black line across this guy's donor scar. It was unbelievable. Like someone just drew a line over the scar with a Sharpie. Yeah. And that was done here.
I still have a photo of a patient that came in to see me when I was in the clinic here, probably 5 years ago. Yeah, it was after the SMP thing started. So yeah, it was like 5 years ago, and he was scheduled for a procedure with us where we're doing the front third or the front half, and not going to touch the crown. So he thought, brilliant him, oh, I'll just go get this SMP thing for the crown and I'll be done. So keep in mind he was a 6, a full-on 6. So he goes to this joint down the street from us. And they did, and this place advertises based on training people how to do the procedure, by the way. Yeah. That's how they make their money. Not so much on procedures as it is on training. And he showed up the next day for surgery, and we had to take him into the office so we get a better look at it. There was so much pigment in this guy's crown. It literally looked like, I mean, that's where I got the shoe polish comment from. Yeah. It looked like they had put shoe polish on his head. It was this solid black color, and you could press on this skin, and it was coming out of his pores.
Yeah, you told me that story. That's
fucked up.
Yeah.
God, it was fucked up. I still have the picture from that, and it makes me think of this guy. Oh, God.
It is, and I think it's important for anyone who's listening and who's watching the program as well, just to understand that, God, none of this stuff is universally good. In general, most people who are doing either hair transplant surgery, in my view, or SMP, are not providing a great service. That's the problem with this industry. Yeah. So there are only a handful of guys in this field who are truly doing state-of-the-art hair transplant surgery. And in my opinion, and I try to actually stay away from the whole SMP world of things because it's not a place that I want to be. But in general, just because someone's trained by someone who's really good doesn't mean that their staff or they're going to be really good. It's good that they're being trained by well-known people who've maybe developed their own procedures, like trichopigmentation or something like that. But it doesn't guarantee shit. No. You have to see people in person. If you're going to get your head tattooed, man, or cut open, that's a big deal. And they make it like scalp micropigmentation is just a walk in the park. It's like the easy way out of hair loss. And
it can be the hardest.
It can be the hardest way out of hair loss. So you have to do your due diligence, and it's nobody's fault. I can't blame this caller. Not his fault. He did his research. But it's just there's so many layers of research that needs to be done in order to finally unpeel that onion and get to the core.
I was going to say it's an onion of truth.
Yeah, it's an onion of truth. You're going to see all kinds of shit online. You're going to see shit even on Bald True Talk message forums, our forum. Yeah. You're just going to...
Sorry, it made me think of something.
You're just going to see fucking bullshit, man. You got to read to the bullshit. We try to suss out all of that stuff, and we have very strong moderation. But you still don't know if the procedure is what it is and who's posting that procedure, and if it's really a patient or if it's a clinic that's posing as a patient to post that. And we do our best to check IP addresses and to cross-reference and all that stuff. It's hard, man. There's thousands and thousands of posts, and there's so much traffic to that site We do a good job, but I still say be wary, man. Be careful.
All you can do.
All right, guys. Phone number 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, it's Maury from Florida. How you doing?
Maury, you're still in Florida. What's happening? Dude?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year to you.
Last year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, doing okay, man. Couple of things I wanted to share with you guys. One is, well, you know that I went to Dr. Greco for the PRP.
Yes.
My ankle is actually feeling pretty good.
That's awesome.
So I'm actually pretty impressed with that.
Wow.
Is
the
ankle hair growing fast too? Is it growing back?
I haven't noticed any hair growing on my ankle. No.
I got to ask that, right? It's just too easy. You have to.
But I did, as you guys know, I also had stuff put in the head. And you guys already know that I've been noticing growth. I need to send you a more recent photo. It's difficult to say whether the PRP has made any real difference. It certainly hasn't harmed anything. Although the one thing I can say is I've been getting zits on the front of my scalp. Like I had a couple of them, and they were kind of prominent and a little disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. The other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is as you know, I put my DNA on Ancestry DNA. They offered a new product called Trait.
Fucking bad move.
One of the
I read about it in the database I downloaded.
Yeah. So one of the traits they have is, guess what? Male pattern hair loss.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is they test for the 3 known genes. And according to them, I'm not supposed to lose my hair.
Yeah. There you go. Bingo.
The truth is that I don't think the scientists know fuck all, to be quite honest. I really don't. I think they're fucking clueless.
Well, there was a company by the name of HairDX that I was on their board for a while, and it was the first genetic test for male pattern hair loss. Now, I was always kind of like, oh, man, because I remember when they started, they had some young guys taking these tests, and like the look on their faces when it came back positive was just,
it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's great to be able to, have early intervention, but just waiting, this guy who's 17 years old is one kid that was tested, from what I recall.
Wow, that's criminal.
That's fucking criminal. Brutal. But I understand, what the situation was because they were testing this, this product, and and this guy volunteered for it. So but still, no one's ready to hear that they're going to lose their fucking hair. I think it's hilarious that they tell this particular group is telling you, or this company is telling you that you shouldn't be bald, and you're like a Norwood 9, or you were.
You were.
Yeah, but it's like, and like in their footnotes, they point to the not one, not two, but 3 different genes that they're testing for, and there's research to back them up. And according to them, I don't have any of them. So what the hell?
Yeah.
Get your money back.
You should actually send them a picture of yourself. They got your fucking DNA. So what's the difference? Send a picture of yourself. Say, I'd like my money back, please.
Yeah, really. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Look, dude, you can write. If you have you buy a TV dinner that's bad, you write the company, you get all kinds of coupons. It's fucking great. Be that guy.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I will be that guy.
You could live for years on that shit. Get your money back for that. It's real. It's not like you're taking advantage of the situation. They fucked up.
Oh yeah. Well, they talk about, because they have all these caveats in there. It's like, there are the unknown genes that haven't yet been discovered. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's basically your lawyers covering your ass.
Right.
That is.
Right.
But, so that was kind of one thing that I thought was sort of interesting. I figured I'd share it with the group.
But you are what, 30% Ashkenazi Jew, and what else?
No, I'm 56% Jew. I'm 56% Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, but I've also got I've got 12% Spaniard. I've got 7% Portuguese. I've even got 1 or 2% Senegalese, and I've got about 12% American, not American, Aboriginals in Central and South America.
Yeah.
So I'm a mutt, basically.
Yeah.
Senegalese? Holy shit.
Well, you'd be surprised, man.
That's
Most
unique.
people tend to have, not really, actually. If you're born in America, actually, in my case, my mother is Latino. If you're Latino, you're going to have a little bit of black blood in you. You just are. That's where it comes from. It's definitely not from my dad. So,
well, good for you, man. I hope that it translated down below the belt. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. We won't talk about that.
Stereotypes.
Hello.
They're there for a reason.
Uh-huh. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you guys about is I had been reading about a couple of studies around the use of Botox for hair restoration.
Yeah.
Supposedly something to do with muscular, scalp muscles, and this and that. I'm just wondering if you guys know anything about it. Is there any truth to it, or is it just a bunch of bullshit?
I've heard about it and I've read about it, and I don't see any real positive long-term results happening from shooting Botox into your scalp.
I remember hearing about a doctor who used to be spoken about quite a bit. He's fallen off the radar significantly in the past 10 years, but he was known for taking the latest fad that people in the forums are talking about, and then he would rush out and become the first person to offer it. And I got some funny memories. It's like I was there's this material called A-cell, matricellular or cellular matrix. I was the first person to talk about this because I actually called the company. And I spoke to the vice president. His name was Rodney Bosley, of all things. And I talked to him about the application for hair loss, and he told me straight up, we hadn't even considered that. This is strictly for burn stuff and all that. So I started talking about this, and guess what? This doctor started offering A-cell extracellular matrix for making strip scars disappear. We all know how that panned out. But so when it comes to the Botox thing, there's some people talking about how they heard or read that if you have a tight scalp, that's contributing to hair loss because the muscles are constricting blood flow.
Yep.
So he came up with the idea, and they were talking about Botox, so he actually started offering it. He was offering Botox for hair loss, and we still don't talk about him. So guess how that turned out. So I'll just say, there's the efficacy for you.
Yeah, right.
Take the hint. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other than that, life is okay. I'm going to be heading up to New York next weekend to see my family. I'm still here. I got my apartment rented, so no more double rent, which is nice.
Good for you, man.
I can imagine. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, and it basically means that I'm giving Florida a chance for at least the next 11, 12 months.
Okay.
Well, listen, I think it's important you give it a good chance. And there's a lot of people people like Florida. I'm not one of them, but, they
well,
do.
It's nice now compared to New York, man, because I've been hearing from my friends up there, and it's freaking cold.
No, I mean, a lot of people from the East Coast, a lot of New Yorkers love to go down to Florida. I have a buddy who he sold he had a brownstone, Sunnyside, of all places. And that place has just exploded. He made a killing on this thing. And
I bet.
He bought a huge piece of property with a nice house on it, at the end of Miami, kind of like in the sticks of Miami. But it's 5 acres and, whatever. And I mean, he loves it. I mean, it's a different life. When you're from New York, you're used to humidity anyway. So when you're on the East Coast and it's warm and hot all the time, it's going to be humid. So you're used to it. I couldn't take it now at this stage of my life. Living in a dry climate that's warm for so long, once you get off the plane, it's humid. Man, I can't deal with it. But have fun, enjoy.
I will, man. And trying anyway. But yeah, I'm starting to think that like I said, with respect to the hair growth, it's happening. It's just, I think it's maybe slowing down a little bit, plateauing a little bit. So I'm beginning to reconsider maybe talking to another doctor, but it's probably going to be at least until March or April before I start, interviewing doctors and talking to them again. So,
dude, all I can tell you is You've lived your life this way. You have more hair than you had before. Don't get yourself cut, dude.
All right.
Just think about that. Think about that. You're how old now?
I'm going to be 50 in July.
All right. The big 50. You've lived your life like this. You're able to go out and get laid and do things, maybe not, you're not meeting the women of your dreams yet, but it's never stopped you, right? So
I got another story I could tell you about that in terms of what happened recently, but I know you love them. So.
Oh, my God. Well, how about the next time you call in, like on Tuesday?
You got it, my man.
All right, man. All right. Take care. Good hearing from you.
Thanks for calling, Maury.
Take it easy.
All right. Take care. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our phone number is 888-659-3727. I knew that was going to be some story, though. Poor guy always steps in it, though. And the UK number is 0203-372-4683. That's 0203-372-4683. We do have lines open if you want to call in. And if no one calls, we go home. That's the way we like it.
To the other room.
To the other room. Yeah. Turn on that TV.
What else is going on?
I'm trying to get the number up again. 888-659-3727. There's a lot going on, actually. There's a lot of, interesting behind the scenes things that are happening. We have this big movement of, Doctors for Change.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant. And I spoke to a very well-known former president of a certain organization who essentially said, look, Spence, whatever you want, I am in full support of this change. And so I have a lot of people who want to come out more publicly. Initially, it was all behind the scenes. Everyone's contacting me saying, oh, I support you fully. That's great. And I appreciate that support. But you got to come out publicly.
I think it's hilarious. Every time you say that, I have visions of... I don't even do the impression because it's too obvious who it is.
Yeah, but about doctors calling me up and saying, this guy's really fucked up. Don't
this
say
guy's
it's
really
me.
fucked up. We need to take a stand. I'm with you 100%. Just don't tell anyone I called. Don't mention my name.
That's not isolated to one physician, but that particular physician has done that many times over the years.
Yes.
Talking about robots and talking about people using technicians and talking about, stuff that they've seen come through their office, but don't let anybody know that I told you.
Even though he's using technicians.
Yeah, but I think it's a fiduciary responsibility for any physician to at least pick up the fucking phone and tell another doctor, look, you're fucking up, man. Now, it may not be something that the other doctor accepts well, but I think it's a good doctor's job to let people know when they have unhappy patients walking around and why they think this is happening. At the very least. I also believe it's their fiduciary responsibility to, if they believe anything's happening that's kind of, as the UK guys would say, dodgy, they need to contact the state medical boards themselves. But they don't want to do that. They want their names out there.
Yep.
So everyone complains and everyone bitches and everyone moans, but when it comes time to putting your neck on the line and going public and saying that you stand for something, oh man, I don't want that. I'm losing money. I may end up going out of business, but I don't want to put my name out there.
Yeah.
My
practice is going to be closed in 18 months, but I don't want to be public about it.
Yeah, but don't tell anybody that we support you.
I don't want to rock the boat.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
I'm on air.
You are, man. You got to turn down your computer or your app or whatever, however you're listening to us.
All right, you hear me now? Is this good?
Yes.
Much better.
All right. This is Wyatt in Charleston, and I know you're going to remember me once I tell you that I was the guy that bought the centrifuge.
Yes, Wyatt.
Hello, Wyatt.
What's happening, man?
Not much, but I'll tell you, I was able to sell it and get just as much money as I bought everything for. So that was good.
I'm glad.
Nice.
I'm glad. Otherwise, I was going to, you would have had to open up your own PRP place.
Might as well.
Hey, funnier things have happened in this field.
Yeah, so thankfully I didn't get into that. I mean, I just jumped into that and bought that ridiculously quick. But so what I did do is I got I did finasteride, but I did 0.5 for 6 months.
All right.
And it really has helped, but now I'm starting to notice maybe some side effects, nothing crazy, but only like the watery ejaculation. Maybe it's a little tougher to get up, but once you get it up, it's fine. And maybe some, I don't know, I lose quick train of thought. But other than that, I mean,
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
The effective would.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm just kidding. I'm playing the Propecia card like I'm having effects from Propecia. Look.
Well, right.
The reality is, it is unusual for anyone to actually deal with side effects 6 months in, and I said that before. It does happen. It's pretty unusual, and I'm not saying that it's not. You know, who's trying to call me? They know I'm on the fucking air. You know your own body, so you know if you're looking at your ejaculant, which every guy does.
Right.
If you're not shooting ropes anymore, you know it. That's the way that it is. So you're saying that this for the entire first 6 months, everything was like functioning as before?
And I would say the 6 month is when maybe I started noticing.
Okay, interesting. Now, do you think noticing the,
but it's not
the less seminal fluid, do you think noticing that maybe affected your, to give you other side effects that might be psychological?
I do.
Okay.
I think once I saw that,
yeah.
Because even through the first 5 months, I was like pretty much forgot it all.
Yeah.
And once I went back to researching it, but
you look down and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then everything just starts.
And then I remembered, I was like, oh man. And then I went back to Propecia Help or whatever. But
oh,
I'm not really,
dude,
so what I'm gonna
you
do?
went there? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it doesn't help some people, but God, you're going to be scared shitless.
So what am I do? I already have another 3 month prescription, but I think I'm gonna take a little break. But through the break, say I take so I started 6 months ago. How long do you think it would be till I get back to that 6 months where I was before that? I mean, it's hard to tell you where I am now, so that's going to be tough.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, you could end up retaining any hair that you think started to reverse, miniaturization. You could hold that for months. Or you can start to go through a shed early on, after, being off it for 2 months.
Right. And then, so I'm definitely going to test the break, see if I just feel like I'm better off, I feel healthier, I feel like I'm sleeping better or something. I'm going to test it.
Look, I think it's very reasonable, especially if you're concerned about side effects. And, I would never tell anybody to stay on a medication if they're experiencing side effects or they're overly concerned about their side effects. It's always better to do nothing than to be on medication. I wish I had the ability and the mental capacity, and I was emotionally equipped to deal with not having hair on my head. I did not, and I don't think I still don't. I'm not well, so
right.
I grasp onto this drug. I mean, you can have to take it out of my cold, dead hands. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to realize it because it was tough for me. At least, I mean, I'm a tall motherfucker. I'm tall, like 6'6" and skinny. So
oh wow!
At least I have that to fall back on.
Yeah, that's pretty. That does help.
So my next thing is, say if I do want to proceed to another route, would y'all say PRP even in some route, or is that not even that for the money? It's not even what it's worth.
It really depends. I know people who have had tremendous success as far as slowing or stopping the cessation, stopping the cessation. You want the cessation of your hair loss, or slowing or stopping the progression of your hair loss, I should say. And I know there's several women that in my personal life, family member who goes to Florida every 4 months and has PRP, and there's a significant difference. But not all PRP is created equal, and it's a lot of money for some people.
Like you're looking like at least $500 for a session, right? And that's not even a good
and
session.
You don't even know who that. If someone's charging you $500. It's probably in some med spa or some dermatologist that's just picking it up, or some cosmetic surgeon.
Or a dentist office.
Yeah, or a dentist office who does not know what the fuck they're doing.
That's what I figured.
I have a buddy of mine who gets their Botox, literally, who gets their Botox at their dentist. So he looks good, though, I got to say. I got to say.
Yeah, so that's what I figure. I mean, I'm going to test it out, see if I just feel like I'm if I feel like I'm 100% healthier, if I feel like I'm not even that, because I feel like I could carry this on if I wanted to. It's just if I get off and I feel like sex life is so much better.
Oh, I guarantee you it's going to. I guarantee you it's going to be a lot better. I mean, just emotionally, you're just going to be. You're going to be out from under that cloud, and you can be walking around with wood all day. That's the way it works. The sex is between the ears. You know?
Yeah, I did notice I don't wake up with the morning wood anymore, so that was a little disheartening.
Oh shit! No, I would be disheartened. I'd be disheartened too. You know, there are ways to test that. There are apparatuses now that you can buy, or you can just do a stamp test. Before you go to sleep, have your girlfriend lick some stamps and roll them up around your junk. And if they're broken in the morning, then you know you've had nocturnal erections.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
So wait, this also reminds me, I didn't do this when I first started, but people talk about blood work, getting it before and then testing it as you're on finasteride.
Right.
Is that even, you think that's a good thing to do? Or, I mean, it's probably not bad.
I don't think it's going to hurt. It's not going to harm you. But you know, what would your reasoning be? Just to say, okay, I know for sure that my DHT levels are being lowered and that 5-alpha reductase is being blocked, or are you concerned like you reach a certain threshold that you would have to, you know, either titrate your medication or change things?
Right.
I mean, my question is like, why would you do it for yourself? Like, well, what was your reasoning behind being tested now?
Like when I read the forums, I feel like people talk as that's the thing you have to do. That's, you got to check them as you take the drug 6 months and then see when things are going.
The first thing you need to do is not read the forums. That's number one.
I know.
You know,
they're awful.
Because I'm pretty sure if you weren't reading the forums that whatever side effects you believe that you're having, and I'm sure that they're real, probably would have resolved. You know, it's a possibility. But I also think there's nothing wrong with stopping this drug. It really depends on how you want to proceed. If you're a person who can handle his hair loss, then I would say don't do shit. Stay off the drug, and you're 6'6". If you can deal with hair loss, then you win.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's say I do get back on the drug, because I mean, if it was just like what it is now, I mean, I can still have a sex life. It's just maybe it's not as great as it would be, but and I could still function through my everyday like this. Say I go back on the drug. Is what I'm taking, the 0.5, going to kick in like it did? Or am I going to expect like a higher dosage?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball, man. And first of all, we're not physicians, but every doctor will tell you something different also.
If I had a crystal ball, man, we wouldn't be doing the show, man. It would be so rich.
Dude.
It'd be crazy.
Absolutely. Fucking Shawshank my ass out of here.
That's right.
Well, what about now this is a question I personally have. Y'all are in LA and then LeBron James comes. Do y'all know if LeBron James, I mean, he's had to have had hair like I don't even know how you do transplant, but like he's had to have some work, because there's some nights you see like he's got some filler in there, and then there's some nights that, he's sitting on the sideline, he looks a lot better.
It looks to me like, and that's talk that's hair loss talk that's been around forever. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk about LeBron James having surgery and having his hairline lowered. And it's possible that if he had surgery that, he's unable to wear makeup when he's playing, and off the court he can put a little filler in there, a little topic or whatever, and the guy is on fleek. They still use that term?
Yeah.
Young people? Okay.
Young whippersnappers still use the term fleek?
Yeah.
Also, though, I don't know if you ever saw that like 6 years ago. There was a guy, Carlos Boozer, who painted his scalp and went out and played. That thing was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was an embarrassing day for all men worldwide.
Yeah. And anytime that happens, it destroys. I mean, I tell people I paint my head, and it just taints it all for everybody.
He didn't even have hair. He outlined his hairline.
Yeah.
And,
he basically painted a helmet on his head.
But we've seen, him every other game bald, pure bald. So it was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It was a bad move. Somebody suggested it, and he's like, I like hair. And that was it.
Yeah.
So, all right, dude, listen, I wish you the best of luck. I hope your side effects are resolved, and I would advise you to try to get zen with what's going on with you. And if you do decide to get back on finasteride, it's very possible that you're not going to have any actual performance issues, just because you see less seminal fluid. But I could see why that would happen, because you look down and you're like, holy shit, what is this? And then boom, everything starts flying into your head. So
you said get on Zen. What was that you said?
Get Zen with it. Become at peace.
Accept it.
Accept it. If you decide to get on this drug, you got to come to terms with it and stop spending any more time.
What's this new drug that Spencer's telling me about?
That's what we're going to name. That's what we're going to name our snake oil. Zen. It's a good idea.
I like that.
All right, dude. All right. Good luck, man. Let us know Let us know what happens.
Thanks for calling.
All right. Thanks for calling, dude.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we have time for another call. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, hi. I wasn't sure if I got through. I just wanted to say hi, Spencer and Joe. This is Greg from Staten Island. I actually called back in November just to share my story. I was the guy who called when the lines were actually down. I actually had success with laser helmeting and finasteride recently.
All right. Tell us about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm actually into my 8th month now of finasteride, and at least I'm thinking that the lasers have actually slowed down my hair loss enough that I'm actually responding even better to the finasteride. I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but it just keeps getting better.
Well, all I can tell you is if you're doing well and you see improvement by using that combination, then you stick to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and just wanted to wish you guys a happy New Year and tell you a funny story. I was looking in the mirror the other day. Once a week I'll check my scalp just to see for any improvement. And at the top of my scalp, I was like, "What is that shadow?" And I actually looked up at the light to see if a light bulb was out.
Wow!
And it was actually the pigmentation coming back on my crown. Yeah, the top of my head looks like a black and white cookie.
That's that's impressive, though,
it's actually, man. It's every time I think it's not going to improve anymore, it just keeps going. So I mean, I still have, like, even in my juvenile hairline, 1 or 2 millimeter long vellus hairs. But I just wanted to say the cool thing may sound strange about kind of losing your hair. And then finding something that works is kind of like I've gotten used to living my life, successfully and, as a thinning haired guy.
Yeah.
And now that it's coming back, it's like you guys always say, it's like life plus.
Yeah.
It is
life.
Cool, man.
It is life plus, and it's a great outlook to have. You've dealt with the emotional roller coaster of hair loss. You beat it essentially emotionally, and you've been able to have a successful life. So this is just a plus, and you're not pinning your hopes and your dreams on keeping or growing your hair.
Right.
Yeah. I find it very interesting. Like I'm the biomedical engineer, so I have a analytical mind. So I still look on the internet just to see what the root causes are, essentially, and but I'm not obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But I was curious. I know the efficacy of finasteride, at least based on studies, peaks around 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I was looking at photos of myself the other day from like 8 years ago, and I'm only in the 8th month mark. And at least from the front, I mean, my hair is starting to approach what it looked like about 8 years ago. So
Listen,
I don't know.
There are some there's some people, and you are one of the, I'm not going to say you're an anomaly, but you are one of the select few, the lucky guys that really respond incredibly to the drug. I believe that I was one of those guys. And while I hadn't progressed to the point that you did, and I caught it very early, it was a significant change for me within the first 3 months. I mean, I started to notice, reversal miniaturization, hair filling in the crown, side hair just getting fuller again. And it was just a great experience for me. Not everybody has that. And, the fact that you're growing hair and you're seeing hair darken where there was no hair or where hair was just vellus before, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when I spoke to Joe, I actually said that. So when I started laser helmeting initially, I would say within the first month I saw a darkening of my hair, and I had a similar response when I jumped on finasteride. I would say within 3 weeks I saw a slight darkening in my hair. I was able to style it a little bit, and I hadn't been able to style it for years. And now I'm walking around, and like people at work are kind of looking at me. They know something's different, but they can't pinpoint it.
Yeah, that's very cool, man.
But yeah, it's I'm getting a finasteride. I don't know if you remember through Keeps.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just keeps improving. It's nice to, slowly get my hair back. And the funny thing is that as much as it's bothered me, I don't know if I ever get a hair transplant because I know, like, I work in the medical device industry, and I know that surgery is a last resort.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe I'd buzz it down. But so far so good with finasteride and lasering. So,
well, dude, I'm really happy
cool.
for you, and I love hearing. Yeah, I love hearing these positive stories in guys who have done well on the drug, who've done well using whatever lasers or PRP, and we hear a lot of people who are unhappy. We hear from a lot of people who are unhappy. So I love hearing from someone who's done well. So, sharing your story is important.
Go ahead.
Sharing your story is important so other guys can realize there's actually hope. It doesn't matter really how far you've progressed. For some people, they can regain, just like Morty, more hair. It happens.
Yeah, Morty's having a great response with finasteride as well. I think he's maybe 9 or 10 months out, and he's still got several more months of potential improvements to look forward to.
And it's kind of, some guys really get a complete reframing of the face. It may not be the perfect hairline, but just a little bit more hair changes your appearance.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate the call. We're going to take one more and then call it a day.
Of course. Have a good night.
All right, man. You
Thanks
take
again
care.
for all you do.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. This is James from Texas.
James from Texas, man. What's happening?
James.
Hey, how are you?
All right. All right.
I was just calling to let you guys know that I've been 2 months in using finasteride and not experiencing any side effects.
Oh, that's great.
Very good.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
It's so knowing what you know now, today, and let's say all the treatments that are available today were available back when you were experiencing your hair loss or you discovered your hair loss, what would you do differently?
If my voice just cracked. If finasteride was available when I first started losing my hair, the only thing that I would have done differently was take finasteride earlier.
Yeah.
Approximately around what age did you experience it, and what was your hair loss degree or severity?
I started to lose my hair at 21 that I noticed, and I wasn't able to get on the drug finasteride until I was 28. But I was using minoxidil. Essentially off the bat, I had a doctor prescribe it, and a compounding pharmacy compound it for me into like this liquid, and I woke up with like crust on my head every day. But it actually helped me. It slowed things down considerably. And then Rogaine was approved around, I don't know, what year was it approved, Joe? 1993?
Which one? Finasteride?
Rogaine.
I'm sorry?
Rogaine?
I thought it was 86.
Or 88.
Or 88. I think,
yeah.
88.
Yeah, so then it was approved in 88. That's how old I am. So I had to wait for that. And then that came. Then I was using that. So what degree of hair loss did I have? It's not much different than it is now. I had more thinning in the crown that was noticeable, and the sides were getting noticeably thinner, and my hairline was receding. So when people would see me, most doctors would say, well, I mean, you're starting, but you're okay right now. And so it never got to the point where I was a guy who reversed, went from a bald guy to a guy with a full-looking head of hair. I essentially caught things early.
I would have, if I could do things differently, if I could contact my old self and say, do this.
You would shave your head.
It would be it'd be finasteride, Proscar, which was out first, because I was a 2A when 2A-ish when I had my first procedure, and that first procedure just kind of kicked everything into overdrive. Shock loss, permanent shock loss, and then the need for a second procedure to fill in where it thinned out because I wasn't happy with the first one. Blah blah blah. So yeah, finasteride. Because if I had been on finasteride, Proscar from the beginning, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would not have become the person that I became through the hair transplant industry as a patient, then as a professional. I wouldn't be here. It worked well for me, just even as a Norwood 6+. So I can only imagine how well it would have worked for me when I was a 2A-ish. It could have prevented me from actually ever getting a hair transplant. I don't know. But as Spencer said, yeah, I would have shaved my head. Like, I would have tried finasteride first. But knowing, then what I know now, shaved heads were in, man. It's like, yeah, and I've shaved my head when I was younger before I had the hair transplants, and it worked fine. I mean, I got a good head for shaving. So, yeah, I'd be a dive master on a boat in Fiji.
What a life! What a life!
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, that's incredible. I mean, that's both of you pretty much said that finasteride would have done wonders for both of you, and I like hearing other hair loss sufferers start finasteride just because of we all know what it's like. And so with that, it's amazing that you said that you it wasn't up until 7 years after you, Spencer, that you started finasteride. So, and I'm impressed that you were able to respond well to it.
Well, I think it's partially genetics, and the fact that I also was able to kind of keep the miniaturization in check with minoxidil. So it was all about timing, all about timing and luck and genetics.
Yeah,
that's it.
So now a follow-up question for Joe. Let's say you, no matter what, you didn't get off finasteride, but the transplantation was your route. Would FUE versus FUT, would you have ever done any FUE procedures at all?
I'll tell you this. When I first had my first repair procedure in March 2002, FUE hadn't quite become a thing. Like the first doctors in North America to do FUE didn't start doing it until late 2002 into 2003. A couple of experiments here or there, but the only doctor doing it was Dr. Woods. There was a very good chance that had it been maybe a year or two later, instead of early 2002, I would have gone the FUE route, only because the hype was huge. So I had my first FUT as a repair patient, my third overall, right before that threshold was hit as far as the hype for FUE. After that, it's like that's when it started to snowball. My case is unique because my scalp was very how can I put this, resilient. Like after every strip that Dr. Wong would take, my laxity would return. And so that's why he was able to go in for subsequent procedures multiple times to continue getting more and more hair. I'll say this. If I had gone the FUE route, I would not have had the satisfaction that I have now because I wouldn't have had the number of grafts available. In cases like mine, FUE can be great, but the math doesn't lie. The maximum number of grafts you can get safely without causing a cosmetic negative impact is greater with FUT over the long term for aggressive hair loss sufferers like myself than with FUE. It's just, I mean, the only facts where that's the exception, not the rule, is patients that have exceptionally high donor density, even though they have aggressive hair loss in general. There's always exceptions. I mean, you always find, well, this guy had, it's like, doesn't matter. I'm talking averages here. That's why in my case, I had already had 2 procedures, and I still had 10,000 grafts with FUT afterwards. I'm the exception to the rule. Okay, the average FUT patient has anywhere between, depending on the clinic you go to, and you start out as a virgin scalp, between 6,500 grafts on the low end. That's not being a great candidate, on up to 8,000 and 9,000 grafts if you're a great candidate. So somewhere in between average, maybe 7,000, 7,500 grafts. There are clinics that talk about getting that many, and they can't. You can get 20,000 grafts with FUE, but you look like a plucked chicken, right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the aesthetic impact. And with FUE, I would not have been able to get as many grafts as I had with FUT. Did that answer your question?
So, yeah, it does. Yeah. What about what is your opinion on FUE versus FUT in terms of permanence? Is it not the same?
It depends. Well, there are a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, it depends. Some doctors will take they expand the donor area to every nook and cranny all over the scalp, and I think there's validity to that approach. I don't believe in the traditional donor zone being the only donor zone, but that's a sweet spot. That's where you'll have the healthiest hair and the densest hair. But look, the donor area is not immune to DHT across the board. It's a myth. It's a fallacy created out of some ignorance. That was the prevailing thought for many years. But we started learning several years back that that's not the case. Nape hair disappears in some people because of DHT. Retrograde alopecia, the hairline along the sides above your ears can retreat upwards vertically. The sides, your temple points, can disappear and the sides move backward. So the permanence depends on where the hair is taken from. And even with great strip procedures, the hair is shouldn't be guaranteed to be permanent for the rest of your life. It should only be guaranteed as long as it's supposed to grow to begin with. That's why I look at it.
So
you also have. Let me continue. You also have damage from the procedure, and this isn't exclusive to one or the other. I mean, you can fuck up the grafts just from mishandling. So they might grow, but then just not quite have enough juice to keep going. I've seen that. That's actually been a discussion in a doctor's group I'm a part of, where the hair can fall out after a year and a half. No one knows why. There's some conjecture, but it's the X factor, as we call it. So it's permanent as long as it's supposed to be permanent in your donor zone. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So you're saying that if the transplanted hair from your sides, like let's say, like you said, on top of the ear, hair that would normally not fall out, that would remain even well into your, I don't know, like 70s or whatever, the sides of your head. It's interesting that would stay on the side of your head. Everything on top of the head would fall. However, the moment you start to move that from the side of your head to the top of your head, then it falls. That's kind of strange to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It only falls because of the procedure if the clinic screwed up. Okay, but if you transplant, because the hair on the sides of your head in the traditional donor zone, even if you never touch it, and you get to be 75, 80 years old, that hair itself can fall out in your donor area, but it doesn't fall out in a pattern. Okay, there are a couple things that you need to be aware of. First off, there's a thing called senile alopecia, which isn't actually hair loss. It's a miniaturization of every hair follicle to where it looks like you have hair loss. You don't even lose density. You're just losing the hair shaft diameter. It gets smaller in diameter, so it looks like you have less density, but you still have the same number of hairs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so there's that. But then you do have people who have donor hair that is susceptible to DHT, and you have patients or people that have never had a hair transplant that have retrograde alopecia. That's where the hairline above the ear starts to go up, and then you have the temple points start to move back. If you're watching the camera, if you can see me on the screen, moving back like this, and even in the nape of the neck, it starts to creep up. Okay, so you can see some of these old guys that are 75 years old or whatever, where they'll be bald as hell. Like, you look at that guy and you're like, God damn, he's bald. You know, like, that's really bald. And he's got like this narrow strip of hair that goes along the back and the sides, and there's no hair below it on the nape. And he's got a little bit of hair above the ears, right? That's retrograde alopecia. You combine that with senile alopecia, it's like, it looks like a dandelion on his head. It's like nothing, you know. I've seen it. I saw one today, actually. I was in Home Depot, and I saw this guy that had, like, his donor area was completely see-through. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Yeah. Start looking for it. You'll see it.
All right, so he's not, like the guy wasn't depressed enough.
Well, it's just the way it is.
I said, like, you weren't depressed enough.
No.
I'm just kidding.
That's yeah. I guess the only reason I asked about that is because of Joe. You know, he's been through a few hair transplants, and I was just wondering if FUE was around, if he would possibly go that route, because I have seen some pictures and some before and afters of amazing FUE procedures. Not that I'm considering that, because I'm using finasteride and hoping that it helps me out, but I was just wondering a little bit more about FUE.
Look, FUE has come a long way, but the one thing that it hasn't been able to accomplish is creating more donor. So, you know, when you cannot use 100% of that sweet spot, doctors have to become creative. And what does that mean? That usually means going outside of what the conventional safe zone really is. For some patients, that will be a safe zone. For others, it won't be a safe zone. Yeah. So there's more of a gamble when you're getting more grass moved via FUE than if you're having, and I'm talking about a gamble for long-term results, than if you're having strip and possibly FUE after. So I'm the huge proponent for FUE, I mean, the biggest. But I like to tell people the reality and what
I'm bigger than you.
You are, apparently. That's what I've heard. But you are dealing with a limited, you know, donor supply, and each procedure has its own set of limitations.
Yeah.
So FUE is certainly not a panacea, and it's really not for everybody, and neither is FUT. Mm-hmm. You have to know, you know, if you make a better candidate for either surgery or if it's going to make a difference. It will always make a difference, in my view, as far as the amount of hair that could be moved safely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
And I've been on finasteride for 2 months. I hear that a lot of people experience the positive results around 3 months. Any words of advice or any tips, anything like that I can expect from here on out? What about the shed?
Try not to think about it. You know, that's my tip. If you're going to notice results if you get them, or you may notice nothing except you're not getting any worse.
Yeah.
It's possible you're going to go through a shed. It's possible that you'll never have that shed.
Okay.
So that's the reality. I mean, if you can, just try your best not to research it anymore or find other people's experiences online, because you're going to run into some scary shit, and you may run into some positive stuff, but you're going to run into some scary shit that you don't want to go down that rabbit hole if you don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that caller earlier talk about the forums, and that's one thing I've been doing is staying away from the forums, from the negativity.
Oh, man. They are negative places, bro. They are negative, toxic fucking places.
Yeah.
And I have one, so.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Listen, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for the call, and, you know, keep us posted.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate your response.
Oh, you got it, man.
Thanks for calling.
You got to take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, we are going to call it a night or a day.
A day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into the Friday show. And, Joe, I didn't want to say anything, but you keep forgetting to promote our forum partners.
At the beginning, I know. Well, it's stop talking. I will.
Dude, that's what I do. I do it for a living.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do.
That's what I do.
All right, so let's start off with the French guys. international-hairlossforum.com. Like I said, they're the French guys. It's a French forum, but with modern browsers, it is translated into the language of your choice or preference. Great interaction, lots of patients sharing their results, lots of doctors showcasing their results. Highly recommend it. They support our message and allow us to stream on their platform. Merci. Then we got bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It's the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum. Also a massive audience that shares their experiences. Lots of patients showing their photos, and clinics as well sharing their results. Lots of great interaction. And they too support our message and stream our content. A great guy. He says he's just a guy, but he's also a repair patient that runs that forum. And finally, we have hairlossexperiences.com. They have just recently last week updated, or this week actually, updated their forum software. It is so much better and so much easier to embed and stream this property, which they do support. They believe in the message and they support what we do. That's hairlossexperiences.com. Check them out.
All right. I was busy typing with somebody else. Did you finish?
Yes, I finished.
All right. Hair Transplant Mentor, that is Joe Tillman's personal website. That's hairtransplantmentor.com. Learn everything Joe Tillman on that site.
Yes.
Also, check out Joe's YouTube channel. A lot of you guys are watching the program through the YouTube channel. We are now embedding his YouTube channel on our site, which is what we're doing. We've been doing that for a while. We want to help to grow Joe's channel. Crazy? You think I'm crazy for doing that? I don't think so.
Just so crazy?
Yeah.
Just so crazy?
There are so many selfish people in this world. They're like, why don't you should build your own channel. You know how many people have told me that? I'm like, dude, that's not what I want to do. First of all, I want to get out of this fucking mess as soon as I can. So I want to build Joe's channel, and while I'm still doing this broadcast, I'm going to share it with Joe. That's it. And vice versa.
Vice versa.
So that is thebaldtruth.com. I'm sorry. That's my website. See? Selfish. That is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And before we continue, we got 30 people watching at this very second, only 11 likes. The hell's wrong with you guys? Hit the like button or we're not coming back on Tuesday. Thank you.
Fucking baller, man. That's gangsta, actually.
Well, seriously, it's like if you're not going to support it's a click. Seriously, it's not like we're asking for donations.
So essentially, you're saying if you do not click this thing, to go fuck yourselves.
Pretty much.
Okay, I agree on that.
It's a click.
It's a very simple process, guys. We do this for nothing, for you. Because honestly, it is a lot easier for me to do a podcast. A lot easier.
He's actually been trying to get me to stop doing the broadcast so we can do podcasts only.
You know why?
Where we don't have to do this live stuff.
Because you guys don't appreciate Joe. I'm just kidding. All right, guys, listen. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want you guys to have a great weekend. Listen, there is help out there. There's life after hair loss. Sorry, Mo, if this is too corny for you. But that is reality. And the problem is, yes, we provide a safe place. Again, Mo doesn't like that. But as much as information that we can provide you, there's no guarantees with anything. So if you're considering surgical hair restoration, obviously I'm going to tell you a great first step is to check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons at iahrs.org. These are physicians who really know their craft. But look, everyone's got unhappy patients. That's reality. And you may not mesh well with any of the physicians who are part of the IHRS, but they support our message that surgery is the last resort, and they support the work that we're doing here. I've told some of my founding members, and I've been talking about this more recently, that their support has allowed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to get the information that we provide every day. Yep. That's it. They are supporting and paying into a system of something that's good. And that's very unusual in this fucking field. So, I will take this opportunity to thank our IHS members who have supported us through the years. And, obviously we support, but, a lot of you guys are being helped, and a lot of doctors out there who have been helping, they have no clue how many people have heard this broadcast over the years, and we've stopped them from having surgery, or we've helped them get repaired, or they've just made the right choices because of this broadcast. TheBaldTruth.com, that was long. TheBaldTruth.com is where you can see archives of this broadcast. That's TheBaldTruth.com. And if you want to get some basic information on hair loss and hair restoration, you can go to AmericanHairLoss.org. Some great stuff happening with the American Hair Loss Association this year. And we're about to launch like 30 some odd new articles for major publication, which I'm excited about. Essentially writing it in stone. And this is just the truth, honest information for consumers on a very huge platform. So that's exciting. All right, guys, until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you, Mr. Really Bad Toupee Wearer.